The humidity in this city is usually what kills me. But today, it was the 20-foot chrome logo staring down at me. Vance Capital. I stood on the sidewalk, running a clammy hand over the cheap cotton of my skirt, feeling like a high schooler walking into the principal's office. I'm Maya Reyes, a damn good digital forensic accountant, a big girl, if we're being blunt. And right now, I was holding an envelope that contained exactly $40,000. That money was supposed to be the seed funding for my own data security app, my exit strategy from living paycheck to paycheck. Instead, it was my pathetic peace offering to the king of the financial jungle, Gideon Vance. My dad had always been smart but reckless. He didn't get sick, he got cocky. He sunk his retirement plus a massive bridge loan from Vance into some sketchy tokenized real estate scam that went splat. The clock had run out, and the $350K principal, secured by the house I grew up in, was now due. My dad was already prepping the for sale sign in his head. No way, man. I was here to buy us time, even if it meant selling my own future. My heart was pounding out a rhythm I couldn't audit, but I smoothed my face into my best professional mask. Time to face the music and hope the loan shark still had a shred of humanity left. This whole situation was trash, but I was the only one who could clean it up. Stepping off the elevator into Vance Capital's executive floor was like walking into an abstract art installation dedicated to wealth. Everything was polished steel and soundproof glass. This place didn't just reek of money, it smelled like generational power. Gideon Vance's office, though, that was the epicenter. He was behind a massive black walnut desk, looking like he was sculpted for the cover of a finance mag. Sharp suit, sharper jawline. He barely glanced up when his assistant ushered me in. I've always been good at reading people, especially through their numbers, but looking at him, I felt like I was staring at a blank, high-value asset. Unreadable, unassailable. I knew what he saw, a woman who didn't fit. I was built solid, not sleek. I was wearing the best suit I owned, but next to his custom threads, I probably looked like I shopped at a thrift store. That quick, dismissive once-over just amplified the nasty little voice in my head that always whispered, "You're out of your league, Maya." But I didn't travel 3 hours on the commuter train just to crumble. My dad's home was on the line, and that gave me a backbone of pure titanium. I planted my feet, held the envelope like a shield, and refused to break eye contact, even as the silence stretched out, thick and heavy as crude oil. This guy was a psychological sniper, and I needed to dodge his bullets. The silence was getting to me, so I cut right to the chase, my voice coming out steadier than I felt. "Mr. Vance, I'm here regarding the Reyes family debt." I pushed the envelope across the vast, empty desk. It looked tiny against the black wood. "This is a cashier's check for $40,000. It's everything I have. It was for my business startup, but family first, right?" I gave him the full rundown, short and tight. $350,000 total, collateralized by the house, and the clock hitting 0. He finally leaned back, those dark eyes fixing on me. I didn't beg or cry, I just laid out the facts like a meticulous accountant. "I need a 4-year amortization schedule for the rest, interest adjusted. I'll sign whatever personal guarantees you need. I work 2 jobs, freelance accounting and a regular gig. I can manage the payments, but I need you to stay the foreclosure." I felt exposed, having just handed over the entirety of my life savings and my future business plan to a guy who probably lost more than that on a bad Tuesday. It was a raw, vulnerable plea, disguised as a sharp business proposal. The $40K wasn't just cash. It was my scarcity, the last bullet in my magazine. All he did was pick up the envelope, tap it once on the desk, and give me a look that said, cute, but not enough. I watched as Gideon Vance slowly slid the envelope, my life savings, my app dream, right back across the polished wood toward me. He didn't even open it. My stomach dropped out. Was he just going to refuse and send the foreclosure notice? I appreciate the gesture, Maya, he said, his voice low and utterly devoid of warmth. But I don't want your money. I stared at the envelope, then back at him. My brain immediately went into worst-case scenario mode. Hidden fees, a legal trap. Maybe he wanted the whole $350K right now just to be a jerk. What? I managed, feeling the blood rush to my face. Don't play games. The debt is due. He stood up, towering over the desk, and the shift in his posture was unnerving. The debt is covered. As of right now, your father owes Vance Capital nothing. My mind slammed to a halt. Zero? Just like that? No papers? No signature? No handshake? Wait, what's the catch? This is $350,000. You don't just forgive that kind of scratch for nothing. He rounded the desk, moving with that effortless, predatory confidence. He stopped right in front of me, forcing me to tilt my head back. There's no catch on the debt, he confirmed, leaning slightly, but you owe me something else now. I braced myself for the typical sleazy CEO move, feeling the familiar wave of indignation mixed with fear. He just smiled, but it wasn't friendly. It was calculating. You owe me nothing, Maya, except dinner. Dinner? My eyes narrowed. That was such a cliché power move, a cheap trick to make me feel indebted and compromised. I was ready to unleash the internal firestorm I'd bottled up, a whole lecture about predatory behavior and professional disrespect. But before I could launch the attack, Gideon Vance cut me off, his expression switching from calculated charm to intense focus. This isn't about that, he clarified, nodding toward my suit. Look, I had my legal team audit your father's file, obviously. The debt was bad, but what wasn't bad was the forensic analysis attached. The way you mapped out those transactions, how you isolated the fraudulent shell companies and tracked the digital signatures of the scammer, that was elite work, Maya. Seriously, top tier. My mouth dried. He hadn't just looked at the balance sheet, he had looked at my work. I saw your name in the debt paperwork. You're an accountant trying to launch an app, and you dedicated weeks to creating a perfect digital trail for a lost cause. That level of meticulous, principled analysis is rare. I'm in the middle of a massive confidential corporate espionage issue right now, a competitor trying to poach our proprietary algorithms. I need someone who can dive into digital trash and find the gold. Someone I know won't sell out. He gestured toward the door. Tonight's dinner isn't a date. It's an off-the-books interview for a job that could make that $350K look like pocket change. Are you willing to trade one dinner, just one, for your father's freedom and possibly the biggest career break of your life? I was floored. He didn't see the big girl or the desperate daughter. He saw the digital detective. That night was a total mind warp. He didn't take me to some flashy paparazzi trap restaurant. It was a discreet, dimly lit place with no music, the kind of spot where serious, expensive business gets done. I expected a fancy steakhouse, but we ended up in what felt more like a bunker for billionaires. The whole night was less a romantic overture and more a grueling, high-stakes oral exam. Gideon wasn't talking about market share. He was talking about ethics. He kept tossing out hypothetical scenarios involving complex money laundering, corporate sabotage, and how I would handle immense pressure from a corrupt board. He was testing my boundaries, trying to see if my professional integrity was as solid as my forensic report suggested. He knew I had the skill, but he needed to know I wouldn't cook the books for a massive payday. I was sharp, pulling on real-life case studies and explaining my philosophy. The numbers don't lie, but people do. And my job is to expose the lie. I talked about how my dad's situation, being vulnerable to a scam, was exactly why I value clear, honest accounting. By the time the check arrived, I felt physically drained, but completely seen. He hadn't touched on my size, my clothes, or my background once. He just kept drilling into my competence and my code. I realized Gideon Vance hadn't bought me dinner because he was trying to romance me. He was investing in my brain. The next morning, I got a call from Vance's chief counsel. No small talk, just action. They confirmed the $350K debt was officially zeroed out. Then came the real kicker. Gideon hadn't just forgiven the debt. He had instructed his team to legally purchase the liability from his own company and structure it as a signing bonus, a massive, interest-free, prepaid salary advance against a new executive role at Vance Capital. The official job title, Director of Digital Integrity, reporting directly to him. The only clause was a 3-year contractual lock-in. I stared at the job offer email. The numbers dizzying. My dad's debt, the thing that had almost broken us, was now the foundation of a career I'd only ever dreamed of. It was clean, legally sound, and utterly shocking in its generosity and business sense. He didn't want charity. He wanted a guaranteed return on his investment. And that investment was me. He saw the fire and loyalty I showed my father and decided to redirect it toward his enterprise. He turned my desperation into my destiny, giving me a chance to leverage my character far more effectively than I ever could have with that measly $40,000 startup check. I was no longer a debtor. I was a key asset. It's been a year since that insane meeting, and honestly, life is unrecognizable. I'm running a team, tearing apart digital threats, and working side by side with Gideon, whose calculating exterior hasn't cracked, but whose respect for my work is absolutely clear. He's tough, but he's fair. Sometimes I look out the floor-to-ceiling window of my own corner office, not as big as his, but mine, and I think about that $40,000 envelope. It was the absolute bottom line of my self-worth then, the total measurement of my sacrifice. The biggest lesson wasn't the zeroed-out debt, though. The real value was realizing that the courage to give everything, to walk into that predator's lair with nothing but my desperate hope and my meticulous accounting skills, was the only investment that mattered. Gideon Vance didn't see the woman who had been dismissed and judged her whole life. He saw a fierce, unyielding asset. He didn't forgive the debt because he was a romantic hero. He acquired me because I proved, without a doubt, that my character was worth infinitely more than $350,000. I didn't just save my family's house. I earned my life back. And that fierce, unrelenting loyalty to what truly matters, that's the balance sheet that always pays off.